Welcome to France 24's Access Asia, coming up in today's show. A generation left behind. Millions of children in rural China are separated from their parents who migrate to cities looking for work. And Thailand remembers a dark chapter in its history as the country marks 40 years since the Thammasat University massacre. Plus, we'll head to Indonesia, where an increasing number of people are trading in trash for healthcare. But first, 1 in 5 children in China are known as so-called left behinds. Youths left by their parents who migrated from the countryside to the city for work. It's a staggering 61 million kids. And some live with their grandparents, others rely on their teachers for support and guidance. France 24's Belle Upton takes us to meet some of them.
For some students at this rural school in northern China, the end of the day is not something to look forward to. 11-year-old Hu Nan is one of those. She may be one of the brightest in the class, but she won't be going home to her parents tonight.
Mum and Dad are in Beijing. My dad is working as a truck driver. My mum is a cook at a preschool. I miss them.
Hunan is one of around 61 million children in China who've been labelled left behind. Left by their migrant parents who moved from countryside to city in pursuit of work.
My parents couldn't take me with them. Life is very expensive in the city, so they left me here at school. The last time I said goodbye, I knew that it would be a year before I saw them again.
Hunan's story has become commonplace. In this school, 200 children live without their parents. It's left to teachers like Godai to take on the roles of older brother and father.
Sometimes it's very hard, but I tell them everything will be okay, and that it's life.
1 in 5 children in China are deemed left behind. If they're lucky, their grandparents look after them. In the eastern county of Susong, this village of 200 inhabitants is mostly populated by children and the elderly. The generation between them has gone, so they can all live better.
All of the adults from this village had to go to work in factories. Otherwise, we cannot thrive. It's poor here, there's nothing.
For this elderly couple, feeding and clothing their grandchildren is no longer a struggle. They receive €1,000 every month from their children working in Beijing. The 2 young boys can't join their parents in the city because China's Hukou system means they're eligible for school only in their place of birth. It's a system designed to reduce domestic migration.
The problem is, if my grandchildren go to Beijing, no school will take them there. That's why I have to bear this burden.
Dad, Mom, welcome home to celebrate New Year together.
These children see their parents twice a year and they speak to them on the phone every night. In Beijing, their mother drives a train through a mall, looking after other people's children.
I'm sure that my children miss me. I don't have any other choice but to work here.
She works long hours, returning to this tiny apartment which she shares with her husband, an electrician. She's just 29, he 32. They earn €1,500 a month, the average salary in Beijing. More than half of that gets sent home to Susong.
I hope they won't reproach us. We're not the only ones in this situation.
This story of personal sacrifice is just one among millions, one of the pillars of China's economic boom in the last decade.
40 years ago, Thai forces carried out a bloody massacre at a Bangkok university. Scores of student activists died on the lawn of Thammasat University. Decades later, no one has been held accountable for what's considered one of Thailand's darkest moments. Our Josh Vardy reports.
It's often referred to as the darkest day in Thailand's modern political history. On the 6th of October 1976, right-wing thugs and police killed and maimed dozens of students and left-wing activists at Thammasat University.
I was among the survivors. The things I have done and my awareness of what has happened have inspired me to keep on working for democracy in honor of those who died.
The student gathering in 1976 was to protest the return of hated former military dictator Thanom Kittikachorn after 3 years in exile. Fears of a leftist rebellion stoked a backlash from authorities. Protesters were shot, beaten, and hung from trees. Thousands were arrested, and many more went into hiding. None of those responsible have ever been held to account for the deaths. It's a sobering fact that hangs heavy over subdued commemorations held in Bangkok. 40 years on from the protests calling for democracy, Thailand is once again under the rule of military dictatorship.
The changes in Thai politics are like a toy train that runs in a circle. This train that moves forward will always return to the same place.
Although authorities have allowed commemorations of the massacre's anniversary to continue, they have taken place under a wary atmosphere. On October the 5th, Hong Kong democracy activist Joshua Wong was deported after arriving at Bangkok airport. The student leader planned to attend a series of commemoration events in the Thai capital, comprising of artworks, plays and conferences.
While I asked what's the reason for them to detain me in Bangkok, they just say that we would not give you any explanation and you have been blacklisted already.
Supporters brandished umbrellas in protest at the young activist deportation, a reminder that sensitivities surrounding the Thammasat massacre are still present and still raw.
Next, in India, cow carcasses are littering roadsides on the outskirts of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's home city. The pile-up is part of a protest from the Dalit community. Considered the country's lowest social caste, they say they're fed up with deep-rooted discrimination.
Dead cows left rotting in Gujarat. The Dalit community, India's lowest social caste, previously known as untouchables, usually clear the carcasses. But they are on strike. The cause of their anger? This video showing Dalit men being flogged after being accused of slaughtering cows, a holy animal, for meat.
For the rest of our lives, we won't do this work. We won't do it at all. Whatever they want to do with the animal, they can do it. But we won't touch it, even if we have to starve to death.
India banned the caste system more than 60 years ago, but the Dalit community, some 200 million strong, still lies at the bottom of the country's deeply entrenched social hierarchy.
In every village and city, Dalits must be provided land to do our work. There are no proper roads, no water, no electricity. We must be given all this.
Over the last 4 years, reported crimes against Dalits have increased by 44% across India. They are now hitting back, staging protests, some of which have turned violent. But according to one activist, change is on its way.
Dalits are the organic proletariat of this country. They always have the tremendous potential to dismantle the caste-based socio-economic structure. And if we unite with all the progressive, democratic, liberal forces and create a broad front, and then if we launch an attack on the caste system, then maybe there is a great hope.
Their protest movement is sweeping across Gujarat, the home state of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, and with key elections around the corner, it may be the moment the long-ignored untouchables find their voice.
Indonesia is home to roughly 250 million people. 11% live below the poverty line. That means little to no access to affordable health care. But now, several recycling and conservation initiatives are helping to change this.
Just a few months ago in Malang in Indonesia, this was the way residents got rid of their rubbish. But now, in Java's second largest city, more and more people are following this woman's example. Every Sunday, City takes her trash to the doctors. For every kilogram of rubbish, she gets a free visit.
The first time I heard about this, I thought it was a joke, but the doctors told me, no, it's for real.
Now she comes regularly to keep her diabetes and high blood pressure under control.
We see up to 30 patients every day. They're all low income and have no health insurance.
More than 60% of Indonesians can't afford access to healthcare. With this project, their rubbish is resold to pay the doctors and for medicines. The initiative works for now because only 10% of those who deposit their rubbish actually come to be seen by a doctor. It's the brainchild of Gamal al-Bin Said. In 2010, the idea struck him that for the 11% of Indonesians living under the poverty line, their trash could be traded for treatment.
Give freedom from the community, from afraid, worry, and fear from sick. And with this program, community, they can feel enjoy and not afraid because they know when they're sick, they can get health access.
Gamal isn't the only one to have spotted an opportunity to tackle the twin problems of environmental damage and healthcare access. In this Borneo rainforest, loggers are being rewarded for hanging up their chainsaws with cheap healthcare.
The people said that one of the main reasons that they were logging was in order to pay for healthcare. And I could really see the connection between a healthy forest and healthy people.
This Indonesian charity gives a 70% reduction on the cost of medical treatment to those who stop cutting down trees entirely. Since the project took off in 2007, the number of logging households has fallen from 1,400 to just 180. Indonesia has lost more than 6 million hectares of rainforest since 2000, and with a population of 225 million and growing, it's going to take more initiatives like this one to stave off environmental damage.
Finally, the traditional autumn festival has taken place in Nagasaki City in southwest Japan. The event dates back nearly 400 years, and it highlights different aspects of Chinese and Dutch cultures which have played a role in the city's history. We'll leave you now with those images. Thanks for joining us here on Access Asia. I'll see you again next time.